Okay, I've been sitting here for the last 5 minutes thinking, what do I do for a cold opening for this one? So, I'm just gonna chug the rest of this apple juice. Watch. Excuse me. This is not as bad as when I chugged that milk in my Blu-ray video. Ugh. However my fucking intro goes.
I want to try. I'm so afraid all the time. I know the other me is trying harder than I am.
If this is what you want to do, I'll support you every step of the way.
Just chill out and wait for Kaede to come home, okay?
The Rascal Does Not Dream double feature was a 2-night Fathom event double feature consisting of 2 films based off the anime series Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. And one special thing about this double feature is that this is the first time ever that the series has an English dub version. So truth be told, I just watched the entirety of the Rascal Does Not Dream series about only a week ago, and originally my plan was to just go into this movie cold, and then come out and explain my experience to you guys and what I got out of the movie. But then I decided to actually watch this show and really got hooked into it. And I'm just gonna say it, most misleading series title ever, because every time I saw the title for this show, I was just like, what the hell is this? Bunny Girl Senpai? I'm not watching this weird crap. But if you actually turn it on, you'll find out that first off, that girl never wears that bunny outfit besides once, and it's actually for a good reason at one point. And you'll also find out that the show is actually really engaging and has a great supernatural twist to it, where every few episodes some weird phenomenon happens, whether it be body swapping, a character slowly disappearing, a Groundhog Day scenario, or a loss of memory. The show is actually really entertaining. All due to a little thing known as puberty syndrome. You couldn't have come up with a better name for that? But a couple nights ago, I went and watched 2 movies based off the series entitled Rascal Does Not Dream of a Sister Venturing Out and Rascal Does Not Dream of a Knapsack Kid. And I decided to go watch the dub version of this movie because while watching the series, I got really tired of reading so much after a while. I'm a slow reader, get off my ass. But man, was that a huge fucking mistake for 2 reasons or more, because not only was I the only one in the theater, but also these characters talking in English was so off-putting all of a sudden that it took so long to get used to. Maybe it wasn't the best idea to start dubbing this late into the series, and that's probably the only reason I was the only one in the theater. So you're probably wondering, how was this first time dubbing? Well, first, let's take a look at the first film in this double feature, Rascal Does Not Dream of a Sister Venturing Out, which I really wish was called Rascal Does Not Dream of a Sista Venturing Out, because, I don't know, that just sounds funny. Here's a clip from the trailer.
Make sure you study hard.
I'll do my best. Do you think you could tutor me?
Don't blame me if you don't get accepted, okay?
Then you can study with me in the afternoon. That's right. I think I remember you mentioning her before.
So what this film is about is Kaede, the little sister of our main lead Sakura, who really wants to go to the same high school as her big brother. And if you're thinking, well, there's gotta be more to it than that, that's the movie, people, if you can even call it that. You know, people are always saying that movies based off TV shows are just longer episodes? Sister Venturing Out is literally the sheer definition of that. Never once during this whole runtime did I think that I was watching a movie, and I kept questioning, why am I watching this in a theater? And it's not like much has changed between this and the TV show. Even the animation is completely the same with no slight changes. And even just looking at it as a longer episode, it's a pretty mid episode. All that happens is that Kaede wants to go to school, something kind of bad happens when she does, and everyone tries to help her get in and tells her why she should go and all that jazz. As I said, one thing that made Bunny Girl Senpai so engaging was the supernatural aspect with the puberty syndrome, but here, that's non-existent, and I think that's only briefly mentioned once. I'll give it to something like the quintessential Quintuplets movie. Sure, it didn't feel that theatrical either, but it still had elements and moments that warranted it to be a movie. It also didn't help that apparently I missed a movie that happened in between these 2 movies and the series, where I guess a lot was resolved because there are numerous things mentioned that were not resolved in Bunny Girl Senpai. You remember how our lead had those giant scars across his chest? Gone. Kaede's bad memory? Resolved. As far as I'm aware, there's only these 2 movies, the movie I missed, and Bunny Girl Senpai. If there's any other movies or shows, let me know. But even though those things were mentioned and already resolved, it didn't take me out of the movie or anything. Now as for the dubbing, as I said, it did take a while to get used to since the show is usually subtitled, but it was good enough. But my one issue is that every once in a while, you would have a character that kind of sounded out of it as if they were a freaking zombie. The one I can remember off the top of my head is someone's like, "Oh look, there's a cafe over there. I'll go sit over there while I wait for you guys." This does also work great as a phone movie, one of those movies you have on in the background that while watching it, you can look down at your phone and check whatever and still have an idea of what's going on in the film you're watching. Some good things I can say about it though are that the animation is still really good. Despite being part of a double feature, it is really freaking short, only having a runtime of an hour and 13 minutes, and I like these characters enough that I still enjoyed watching them. Honestly though, they are a little forgettable. But my final thoughts are that Sister Venturing Out is passable as a longer episode, but honestly fails at being a movie. If you're a fan of the series, I at least recommend checking it out once just to get caught up with the series. But if you're not a fan, you're just here listening to my review, so thank you for that. I'm gonna give Rascal Does Not Dream of a Sister Venturing Out a C. Well, that leads us into our next topic of discussion, Rascal Does Not Dream of a Knapsack Kid, which, next to Puberty Syndrome, you might want to change that name as well. Sounds kinda creepy. Here's a clip from the trailer.
Kaede. It's me, Mom.
Maybe the four of us can live together again. What is this?
Anybody? Can you guys see me? None of you can see or hear me at all? Hey!
So in this film, Sakura starts seeing a younger version of Mai, his girlfriend, and while that's going on, Sakura and Kaede go to see their mother who is now out of the hospital, which also has something to do with Sakura slowly disappearing like Mai once was. Which I will say right off the bat, that then bringing back the puberty syndrome in this movie automatically made it much better than the Sister Venturing Out. So when this movie first started out, this is where my mind just goes sometimes. It starts with Sakura seeing a younger version of his girlfriend, and this also happened at the beginning of Sister Venturing Out, but it's more explored here. Anyway, it starts off with him like saying hi to her and she's like, "Oh, I shouldn't talk to strangers." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm Sakura. See, now we're not strangers." And I was like, why the fuck is this starting off like the beginning of It? Is he like gonna rip her arm off or something? But despite being better than the first film, this is still just a longer episode and it's only a decent one at best. Probably its two biggest issues is that it's pretty forgettable, and we've already seen this plot before where one is slowly disappearing and only one person can see and remember them. And slight spoilers, but it pretty much gets resolved exactly how it did in the first few episodes of Bunny Girl Senpai. But there is one aspect of this movie that is a big deal, and that's the return of Sakura and Kaede's mother, and she does play a very vital role in this movie throughout. But the reason I found this one to be pretty forgettable is that it was just flying in one ear and out the other. And again, we've already seen this done in the series before. Hell, the whole thing with Sakura and Little Mai, I can't remember how that got resolved at all. Another problem, and this goes for both movies, they just abruptly end out of nowhere without any decent segue into the credits. As for things I liked, as I said, I like the supernatural aspect being back. Just like Sister Venturing Out, it is short, and the animation is still really good, and there are some emotional moments that might be affected to some. They also had this thing in the end where they said they were doing a new arc known as the college arc, and they never really established if it was going to be a show or a movie. Hell, with the animation they used, I was convinced it was an ad for the manga. Knapsack Kid is definitely better enough to where I can say that it is a good movie, but just barely. Of course, if you're a fan of the series, you should check it out, and who knows, maybe you'll have a different opinion than me on both of these movies. Not the best double feature I've seen, but not the worst one either. I'm gonna give Rascal Does Not Dream of a Knapsack Kid a very low B-. And not gonna lie, that apple juice I chugged at the beginning did almost make me sick during recording. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, turn the notification bell, and I'll be back later with more reviews. See you then.